We'll call to order the regular meeting of Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District Board meeting Tuesday, January 13th at 6:32. We start with a roll call. I am Karen Morgan, present.
Dave Wickman is present.
Art Martinez present.
Philip Hardiger.
Roger Wendell, present.
We have a quorum. Pledge, I will not forget this time. So if you feel comfortable, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You know, Roger, I remember that back in the days, whether you can salute or whether you have to. And I was like,
Oh, it's a Senate bill they passed about 5 years ago.
yeah.
Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? I see none. So we'll move to public comment. I have a limit of 5 minutes per person, and I will let people on the phone raise your hand if you would like to make public comment, but I will start in the room. There's nothing in the room. Anybody online? I have EJ Thompson, hand raised. This is for public comment, not for your session.
Oh, then
If you-
undo it. Undo it.
Okay.
Lower hand.
Anybody else like to speak for public comment? I see no hands. All right, we will close public comment. Thank you. Bud Mullen will come, I'm sure she's working on her computer. All right, so we are on to approval of the minutes. With
Okay, as
two
the
cents.
secretary has gone over the minutes for December 9th and December 10th. December 10th was executive session, so there's not much to disclose there. December 9th, I went over it thoroughly and everything looks like it's in order. And I move that we accept those minutes for both the 9th of December and the 8th of December.
Second that.
Motion by Director Wendell, second by Director Wickman. Any discussion? Only thing I saw was that the names are blank and I didn't catch those again, so that was nothing to fill in there. So all in favor of the minutes passed. The 5 unanimous vote.
Anybody that I see that is blank, I try to fill in, but if they don't say who they are, then
Yeah, I saw that in the minutes where it said guest 1, guest 2,
yeah.
but I think that's
Yeah, I
acceptable.
think there's a couple sitting over here that didn't.
Yeah, I just figured we're fine with that.
Yeah, I did have to, it does matter. Financial reports, any discussion or a motion to approve? I'm not seeing anything. No discussions? Yeah.
I'm open for discussion.
Okay,
I thought somebody was gonna move to.
well, I will move to approve then the daily monthly operating expenses and unaudited financial investment reports.
I second it.
Second by Director Martinez, thank you. Any
Okay,
discussion?
a couple of just quick points. And I know we've talked about this in years past. Bibs, jackets, safety boots, is that an annual reoccurrence for each employee or is that for new employees?
It's mainly for if, say, an employee comes on board or if somebody's winter wear or something
Okay.
fails, that's
Just
for
regular.
replacing, yes. It's not every year they just will me. If that's your question.
And I know we talked about this before, but maybe I don't understand the Canon 24-inch large format printer keeps appearing here. We replaced it once.
Can you direct me to which page it's on?
That is on 18 of the board packet. Yeah, 18 under my staple here.
So we had a plotter downstairs for when we need to print oversized maps, things like this here. Well, it was old and failed. So we elected to go with a cheaper model that we don't have a service agreement with. So when we need to print something for ourselves, we have the ability to. And the way this one works is we don't have, what is it, an inkjet? And things like that. So it's for when we need to print, maps and things like that, we have that available, but it's.
Okay, no, I'm comfortable with that. I just thought maybe I'm getting confused. I keep seeing printer. I thought maybe it was a,
Well, that was
A
probably for
duplicate.
a service agreement on the wire unit, which this one we do not have.
that's good. Thank you. Next question, do we subscribe to Starlink?
We just signed up for Starlink, due to the power outage. And I can go into more detail on that one.
Okay,
It's a backup internet service that we're gonna be able to use, so. Extended power outages, like I said, I'll go into more detail on that.
so you'll be able to address that a little
Yes,
bit later. Yeah,
absolutely.
that'll be interesting. I had one other point, if I can find my red mark. Oh. $2,400 lease income. What are we leasing?
We lease space on some of our facilities for a radio internet provider. They pay us monthly.
For that space?
Mhm.
Would that be like up on Green Mountain?
On a couple of the tanks that we have, our North Yellow tank and our South Yellow tank, they have a radio so that they can just beam it to their customers.
Oh, great, extra income.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I've got.
All right, any other discussion? If not, we'll call the vote to approve the expenditures and investment reports. All in favor? That unanimous approval. Thank you. District report?
Well, we finished off the year with a few May breaks. We had 4 in December, bringing our total to 22 for the year, which is just a few below our average over the last 20 years. So we've right in that ballpark as more infrastructure ages, more breaks happen.
Was that the luck of the draw or is it
Yeah.
really weather this month?
Yeah, and in each one here, if you'll see, there's some that say break due to ground movement, that's that freeze thaw cycle where. Pipe was laid without bedding and the ground shifts and just kind of snaps like a pencil. We had 2 of them were corrosion, 2 of them were from ground movement, and that's just like over time. The exterior hot soil just kind of eats its way through and it cracks the pipe and pick it up, so. And as you can see, 1956, 1960, 60s and 70s, one from the, so it's all full pipes. We had a sewer backup on Alameda, right at the new club car wash, I'm sure, we just touched on that briefly at the last meeting. Our crew was out there for an extended period of time. What we found was somebody had dumped some sort of construction material down into the sewer. I don't know exactly how they got it in there. We don't know what it is yet. It's in the lab right now being analyzed. So we'll be able to tell what the material is. It could be grout, it could be flash fill from contractor doing backfill. So whatever it was not supposed to be in there, and thankfully we have the tools that we have, our pump, we're able to bypass and mitigate the spillage. That's all been handled with CDPHE. We've got our report in. We notified Lakewood Storm Sewer Division about it, and we did all the necessary mitigation to get that wastewater cleaned up off the ground.
Can we make sure that's an agenda item next time? Just to follow up with the lab results or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to-
I'll just make sure, I'll be sure to add it to my report.
okay,
Who noticed it? How did it come to our?
So. If you know where the club car wash is right there, so right down the hill where there's all that, those rocks that are in cement, like the riprap area, there's a manhole that just sits in the grass and it was boiling out of there, so Piston just happens. Went out there right away and started working on it, but it was 140 feet into the line from the upstream manhole, and it's all PVC pipe, so the pipe was in perfect condition. It just slowly sludged and then solidified in the area.
You use the expression boiling. Was it sort of some sort of chemical?
Well, like just, I guess I was trying to describe, like when you bring water to a boil, it kind of rolls on itself. It just the friction from it lifting that heavy manhole lid off it was spewing out on the ground.
Not much pressure to lift that.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's my question. If it's pressure of volume
Yes.
versus something chemical,
Yes, not chemical. It was just backing up out of from the pressure created by it not being able to go where it needed to go. It was a 15-inch main, so it was, there's a lot of wastewater going. Thankfully, the area that it was in was pretty well concentrated. It was really flat, so we were able to vacuum all that water up. And the best thing for a spill like that is the sunlight. So we were,
You say it was PVC?
yeah, the pipe was PVC. So
Yeah.
the pipe is in fine condition. It was just, my theory is it was dumped into a manhole and the wastewater kind of carried it down and it slowly just came to a halt and then it solidified. So the pipe was 100% blocked off. And we can't really control anything like that. As far as, well, the only thing we can do is resolve the problem. And they did it in about, I think they're out there for 15 or 16 hours.
So I'm gathering that the plan is to identify what it was, maybe trace it back to who did it. Have you ever done this before where we actually found out who done something like this?
In my 25-ish years here, I'm not aware of anybody sending something off to the lab to find out what it was. We've seen tires, we've seen asphalt, we've seen 2x4s in the sewers before, but this was, somebody was intentionally trying to get rid of something. So once we identify what it is, it could be grout. Like I said, it could be some sort of building material. We'll have a better idea of where to start.
And there is a cost associated with cleanup and everything that we can fall back on and say this is what it costs.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we have all the guys' times logged, our equipment that was out there.
how much did it cost?
I didn't run that, but I can.
Just some general numbers.
Yeah.
$100, $1,000.
Oh, I would
5,000?
say with what we built that, what it cost, I'd say probably about $6,000 or $7,000. But Lakewood was very, supportive and their stormwater guy was very nice and understanding, and it's not something we were doing or lack thereof to prevent the sewer back. So.
Real quickly, do we have anything, obviously you think it came in through those storm drain openings. Is there any way to mitigate stuff going down that, grates or stuff like that?
Wait a minute, do you think it came through the system? Or my impression is that did they dump it right there on the site where it happened?
I think it was dumped in the manhole just above.
Right by that.
They lifted the manhole.
You wanna pull up the map or something?
Those manholes are, how much they weigh, they're really heavy.
The
They're
man,
not
yeah,
designed to be lifted.
yeah, they're 100 pounds plus. Yeah, and they're the only way to get into the system is either through a manhole or through a service connection. And the amount that was in there's no way that somebody dumped that through a 4-inch pipe.
So we think it was dumped right there
Yeah.
at that point.
That's what I think.
Okay.
And once we got the blockage cleared, we sent our camera downstream and they actually had some additional that made it a little bit further, so we were able to investigate a couple thousand feet each direction to make sure there was nothing that we missed.
But as a sort of thought, do we have homeless people in camping around there?
There is a
very large homeless encampment right there in the back here.
Yeah, I was like, would that have had an impact?
I don't think so, unless they
Day
found it
workers?
and did it, but I think it was somebody trying to get rid of some excess material.
Sure.
Rather than take it to the dump,
Obviously.
so.
So you don't think they put it in that hole, you think it was further up?
Well, the manhole that's right here, the blockage was about 140 feet downstream, so I think it. As they were dumping it in, it slowly took it down and then kind of solidified and, you know, in the evening when there's less flow, it had a chance to really settle, so. Cause you can pull it out and literally break it in half with your hand, so it wasn't fully set, but enough to cause a blockage.
You
Can
would,
we ask any further details on this later on, since this is just an update, and move on to the next topic, please?
Next on my list here is the XL Energy emergency power outage that they had performed. Our account manager had reached out to us about 24 hours in advance of that, so it gave us some time to prepare. We have several generators, remote generators that we can go set up somewhere. We have several of our critical sites have backup power on site via transfer switch. So when the city power goes off, these generators kick on and it's almost seamless operation. So we were preparing for guess they haven't been talking about. Internet's up.
We're back.
Okay. Starlink, yes. So we reached out to T-Mobile, who's our cellular providers, to make sure that if this became a extended thing, that we weren't gonna lose cell service for our guys to be able to communicate to each other. And if that is the case, Starlink also is a provider with T-Mobile, so we can text over satellite, things like that. If, you know, we were just trying to think of every possible scenario that would arise to where we had to communicate or have our facilities online.
Is the terminal here in this building or
The Starlink?
Starlink? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's just a little dish. They've really come a long way. It's very inexpensive to pick up. I think it was like $200. And the service can be activated whenever, so we don't have to.
Oh, we're not on the monthly.
We're not on we are on a monthly, but you can pause the service, so it's like $5 a month if you pause it. So, and at a moment's notice, you can turn it on and be operational. So
Oh, that's great.
really
Yeah.
what's powering it, battery?
a generator.
Gas generator or fuel?
Yeah, that is some.
You generate this building.
We're working on that. Right now, we have a tow behind generator that we can hook power up to that will keep our servers online and all the necessary equipment in order to be able to see SCADA and things like that. I'm just had an electrician come out. We're gonna put in a generator, a hardwired generator switch so that we can just plug right in.
Now, does that switch over automatically or does somebody have to actually turn on the generators and stuff like that
Somebody actually has to turn, but
in the middle of the night?
Yep. We are preparing for 26, so we're getting quotes for a natural gas generator that we can put in the back here. We have one at another facility that we don't necessarily need pumps active at because it's a super redundant facility. But Denver water speed comes into there and we want to just be able to keep communication. We're gonna go to that scenario here.
Can we have a battery supported by solar cell?
We looked into that, but it's not cost effective. In order to have about 8 hours of backup, it's about $25,000. So this is not cost effective, so.
Gas power generation.
Yeah. And we've got two that can run 220, which is the enough power to power this entire building. Well, at least the critical pieces. And then we have a bunch of remote ones that we can set up for all of our tanks. But at all of our tanks also we have solar and battery backup there because the draw is so little, the less with those.
Thank you for being so thorough.
Yes. Moving on to development reviews, that hotel on Bayard.
Are you finished with repairs?
Yes.
I don't know if it's an issue or not, but I just noticed today on the way over here, there was a fire truck coming out of our facilities there on Bayard. By the Warren Tech. It's like, why would you, did it have anything to do with us?
No, they light cars on fire up there for training for the cadets.
Okay.
There's some asphalt, they have an asphalt parking lot adjacent to that tank right there, and they'll set up shop right there and burn down the car. So that Bayard property, we've been talking with them about their project. The line that they want to connect into has a segment that is over capacity, and they are designing the improvements needed to make their project go. So there'll be an update, the board meetings, I would say, on that part of it. So they're gonna. It's kind of a tricky spot. It's happened to actually be right there from the car wash where that backup occurred, and it's about 18 feet deep. It's a very tricky part of the system. We just have an easement through there on the federal property, and so they're going to design and submit for our review what they can do to.
Where is this? I'm maybe getting confused.
So right in the corner of the Denver Federal Center property, right where Club Car Wash was built,
Yes.
we have a line that comes down from like Good Times. There's a line that runs down the drainage way right there, and the line is at capacity right now. It's point. I mean, so it's just over our 0.7 DOD, but they understand that they need to.
It's north of Alameda,
Yes, like 200 feet.
along the drainage. Okay, that's what we talked about before.
Yes,
Not the one
Yes,
south
but-
of the drainage that's really deep.
correct. The
It's south
one that was
Alameda.
identified in the master plan, right there. Yes,
That one is one we're talking about.
yes, for the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, 66 Van Gordon. It comes from that area of the district. Down behind Good Times and 140 Union Hotel that was built a couple of years ago.
Okay.
The section I appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but that's where I'd showed them before. I thought the master plan was a different section of pipe that was south of Alameda across the street. Maybe I'm just wrong on what the master plan was. That's the big.
There's like five 5 sections that are all identified,
As
and
over,
that's one.
there was one of them that was like 100%.
That's Kentucky.
No, yeah, I'll have to look. There's another one right in there, they've been, cause is that the one, I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter, I'll look.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, they did their sewers. They did their flow study, and that was what the results were for that. How long is it, Sam? Oh, 183. 183 feet.
Okay.
Then I left the 1078 South Alpine off because we're gonna be talking about that later, so.
Okay.
Infrastructure replacement projects, design review is going well with the city of Lakewood and with Denver Water. We met with, Keith Hensel, the engineer, and we really wanted to talk about our restoration details that we've been providing to them, and those are available for this year as well, so. All's moving along well with that. We did put the public notice in the golden transcript for DIRP 1, so we're gonna be accepting bids on those here. DIRP 2. Oh. We got a typo. DIRP 2. So DIRP 2, 1, 3, and 4 are still in design. And so we're moving along as planned. We'll be in the March meeting, be awarding the first 2 projects, so.
Great. I was thinking a little bit more about that, and we had a public comment question last month. I'm wondering if we could get also serving some project management goals. Identify what we are identifying as the first 10 years worth of projects. And get some kind of task management for us to keep track of internally, but also to roll up and have a graphic of a pie chart. This is what we did. This is our goal of where we started off with all these fees, the new fee, and we accomplished,
Okay, yeah.
however much percent a year, because there should be, by the end of 10 years, that would be accomplishing our first tranche of goal. And then you have to, again, establish another one, but that shows something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or see if you can keep us on track better that way.
Yeah, and as part of the budget that we approved, had 27 design money available, so once they're done with 26, they're gonna roll right into 27, so they're gonna be designing that even months earlier than we did this year. So we started in November for 26. We're looking to start in June for 27, so we're just gonna be churning out year after year after year, so we can put all that together as well as identified areas for the next 7, 8, 10. I mean, we can do a 10-year if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great.
And again, all this coincides with Lakewood's street replacement projects. We have 5 years from them, so we can identify areas that we need to fix under their umbrella. So we're doing minimal restoration rather than getting into a street where maybe they repaved it 2 years ago, and now we're repaving the entire thing. So just trying to navigate those waters.
Okay.
And that's all I have for that.
Great, thank you.
Great.
That was a lot. Any questions? Got them all. Thank you very much.
Copy of the agenda again.
Yes.
So we are under director's matters. First I see is to review and adopt the annual resolution. Did everybody have a chance to review? Are there any questions about that? See, somebody had a couple red line edits in there. Anybody have a motion to?
I got some
The-
questions. See if I can find them.
Can
I
we,
move that we adopted.
thank you, Director Rendell. Is there a second? Director Hardinger, thank you. So we have a second for discussion. Director McKee.
Oh, thank you. Let's say here on page 5. Well. If possible, notice of such emergency meetings may be given to the members of the board by telephone, which I am going to take as addressing my issue as to being notified by calling me, so I'm assuming that's takes care of it there, so I'm not gonna go down that road anymore. Or by other means, means are responsible to meet the circumstance of emergency on that. So all special meetings are considered emergencies.
Emergency meetings are a different type of thing from a special meeting. A special meeting is any meeting other than the normal 12. So,
Right.
so emergency meetings are special meetings, but not every special meeting necessarily is an emergency meeting.
But such meetings, say, a special meeting not considered as emergency meeting would fall under this phone issue, right?
Here in 12.
Yeah.
Well, strictly speaking, a special meeting that is not called in an emergency situation would not be part of 12 now.
Well, then we would probably need to modify that, because then we're back to the issue of getting what I consider proper notification of those types of meetings, as we discussed in the previous meeting. We would come up with, I was gonna come up with a wording. Then I saw this and I went, there, it's covered, why bother? And that's what I just asked, just a few seconds later. That covers my issue. And now you're telling me a special meeting is not an emergency meeting, and this says under 12 emergency meetings.
Right, so emergency meetings,
So should that be modified to be saying emergency and or special meeting?
you could, but I wouldn't recommend that. I think that the policy change you're looking for is probably better addressed somewhere other than the annual resolution. Emergency meetings are especially called out in the statute as not requiring the same normal notice, like putting the agenda up 24 hours in advance on the website. So they are a different category of
Yeah,
thing.
this is notification for board of directors, not necessarily public. Right? When public's included for that.
Yes, yeah, so this relates to notice given to the directors.
To directors.
Yes.
And that was my issue about getting a phone call. And this, I thought, when I saw that, I went, hey, it's covered. But now you're telling me special meetings not necessarily the same as an emergency meeting. Well, then it's not covered.
Right.
So how do we get it covered? Under special meetings.
Well, you could propose a change to the resolution, or you could
That's
propose
what I
that.
just did. Adding the wording emergency and or special meeting. And you said no.
Yeah, it's my recommendation that you not do it that way.
And how will you then add to the resolution the appropriate wording? What to include special meetings? So it is.
Would that be in the bylaws?
It could be in the bylaws. Is there a reference to special meetings in the annual note in the resolution? I think 11 would be a better place for that because that refers to regular and special meeting notices. So my suggestion, if you want to put it in here, would be that you include this language from 12 about telephone notice in 11.
Okay. Then that would work for me. And that's what I would move that we do.
Does that need a second?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's a motion to Director Martinez, made a motion, seconded by Director Wickman to change section 11 to include a telephone notice in the annual resolution for section 11. Any discussion?
Yes. I really don't see the importance of this. Seems the system that's been in place all these years has worked fine. I would urge that we not make any changes to the procedure.
The problem is that it raised an issue with, particularly as I stated in the previous meeting, getting notice outside of just posting it on the website if you're out of pocket from getting access to the internet. So a call would be the next best solution. And so then it was Karen's recommendation, we come up with wording to that effect. Then when I saw this, I said, okay, well, there's the wording. Now we determined that the appropriate wording would be to put it into 11. So following what Karen recommended I do, and at the time it was to work with Josh, and I was going to do that. But then when I read this earlier this month, I thought, well, it's thin there. Now the appropriate wording would have to be in 11. So I'm following down the track that was recommended by the president of the board. And we got a recommendation from legal to do that. So there we sit.
Okay.
I don't want to waste a lot of our time on it. It's apparently I don't quite understand it. If somebody could clarify it, maybe you could. If there's some kind of an emergency meeting, we're all going to receive a phone call. Is that what this is?
No, you can put it, request it, as I would say, if you want to have Josh, you can tell Josh, please call me on any special meetings. Which is what I worked out with Josh to do, but you would not necessarily have to do it if you didn't want to.
Okay. I mean, we've always had that option, but I understand where you're coming from.
I agree, and I'm gonna stipulate that I will not be voting for this. I don't agree with it for a couple of reasons. One being, frankly, I think it's embarrassing. Two, my suggestion would be same as it was before. Technically, I understand the confusion. What I would suggest that you do is modify this kind of thing, but in the bylaws, because it's more, people will look to the bylaws more than they will look to the annual resolution. So if you're looking for how to run the meetings, that's where people will look first. And they are two different things. And you're right, you can do it here, but it will get lost here. And again, I think it's superfluous and we don't, it's burdensome, and if we can't get it out, and you've had your say, and we're just gonna move on. If anybody else,
to what you said.
you know.
There you go, cutting the people off.
You had your say. We
call
had
for
say,
discussion.
we're done, we're moving on. We have not heard from Director Wickman, Director Hardinger, if either of you would like to say?
Well, I would rather err on the side of being extra accommodating. If it's unnecessary, well, that's fine, but it's not counterproductive. And if Director Martinez feels it's productive, then I'm willing to give it a shot.
Very good. Director Hardinger, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I think maybe erring in Mr. Director Martinez's favor here.
All right. So that brings to final vote. All in favor? I have Director Wickman, Martinez, and Hardinger. And against would be Morgan get my own name, and Wendell. Motion passes.
Just change.
Now, that was just for amending section 11. Is there any other discussion? That was not for the whole.
I noticed any directed by phone that requires such.
Anybody else? Director McKeon, do you have anything else?
I'm checking right. Okay. We were just a couple weeks ago. See it. Anything at this point that I should read. So I'll go for what I got.
Okay. I don't think we made a motion for the whole thing. It was just yours, right?
Just
No,
the
you
change.
did. You made the motion and you seconded it for the overall.
Well,
And then you made a motion and you seconded for the number 11. So we are still at the overall vote to approve, to adopt the annual resolution as Director Wendell motioned, I believe, and then you seconded.
Maybe do that with the change not in place yet, or?
We did adopt that change.
Yeah.
So that was as amended through the other votes,
Do we
through the
need
second.
something to change on paper, or we just go with yes?
Oh, I'm grabbing it right now.
Yeah,
Josh just made the change.
it has been done. So can we? Do we need to sit here and wait while, because again, this is,
No,
okay,
that's fine.
let us vote. This is
Or expedient.
all those in favor of adopting the annual resolution as edited. Morgan, Wickman, Martinez, and Hardinger are approved, and Director Wendell, you are next.
11 here is provide notice to any director by phone that requests such notification.
That brings us to our hearing on water and sewer variance for 1078 South Bellflower. at- Thank you. Brad, I'll let you sign with that pen first. Then, Rex, Dylan, could you remind me of the procedure? Do we have opening statements, or are we just going from one topic, or we just have time statements?
This manager presents. Under the rules, the policy is that the district manager presents. The applicant has the opportunity to question him. Any other witnesses on behalf of the district present. Same examination opportunity. Then the applicant presents whatever witnesses, and the district manager has the opportunity to question. And then the board may ask questions at any time. And then at the conclusion of the presentation of the evidence, the board deliberates and makes a decision. So the board is permitted to impose procedural requirements at the outset of the hearing. My recommendation last time was a 15-minute time deadline or restriction.
And then we deliberate in executive session, or is it public?
It must be public.
okay, can you repeat all that? No,
Yes.
I'm just messing with it.
I wrote it down. I have it.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we are letting the district manager present first.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, then we want to make sure you are online, engaged, and ready to speak. So you know that you are up and you will be presenting, and you will have the opportunity. Did you catch that procedure? And you will have an opportunity to question the district manager at the end of his presentation here. Does all that make sense to you?
It does.
All right,
You can hear me okay?
sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, we'll just get started with Mr. Stanley then. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I'm just having a technical problem here. Go ahead, I'm fine. I can hear, I'm just having a hard time seeing.
Good. Mr. Stanley, would you start us off?
Sure, so I put together a little memorandum, just based on the timeline, the interactions, the findings were from all the research I did. This primarily started back in as far as I can see, 2019, but the real engagement of this issue was November of 2022. So some background, the 2020 wastewater master plan identified the sewer line in question serving the project as to be over capacity. It's currently at 100%. Due to the constraint of that pipe being over capacity, this project is subject to additional requirements under the district's development review process, including a mandatory sewer capacity study. Again, all communication regarding the development was initiated through Jeff Tice when he was here, and I took over from him. In all this communication, the wastewater line was at one point scheduled for replacement in 2023, but the project was postponed because aging water infrastructure required priority over capacity issues. With that being said, maintaining, replacing, and rehabilitating the district's water and wastewater system is funded through customer rates and service fees, not system development fees. I just wanted that to be clear to all involved. System development fees are a one-time equitable fee charged to new developments to buy into the system. We don't utilize that money for any sort of replacement. That's just their fair share into the system at today's dollar. The chronology of the events actually started October 20th. Sorry, but my sheet was not fully visible. The district provided the developer with a development review document noting that the sewer service would be available only if system capacity existed, consistent with the development review document that we have. November 9th of 2022, the developer was notified that a sewer capacity study was required as the line would connect, as the line it would connect into was over the tank. The developer was reminded of this requirement within the development review process. And then on November 15th of 2022, the district provided a formal quote for the required sewer capacity study. The developer did not move forward with this study. After that, the November 29th, at a board meeting, the district board voted to form a committee to evaluate whether a wastewater capacity study was required, but that never happened because it was already in the development review document.
That's again, I'm sorry.
It was already in the development review document that sewer, the capacity study is being performed on all new developments. Then there was some time where there was not a lot of communication. September 20th of 2023, a meeting with the developer and his attorney was held here at the district office with Mike Yost, the district engineer at the time, to discuss options for addressing the overcapacity sewer line or additional explanation for the capacity restriction. The district manager's standpoint, since this line was established in 2020 as being at overcapacity, that's where we're at. The line needs to be upgraded.
I've lost sound. Yeah. don't know how this stuff works. So it's not really my thing.
I know, I don't know.
Okay, let's get out and get back in then.
Wait.
Is it?
We lost internet connection for a minute there.
Yeah,
but
sorry about that.
you didn't miss anything.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
There we go. I lost I can't see you guys.
Oh, our camera's not on, or is it on? Yeah, we're on. We're on. So,
No, it's us.
can you hear us okay?
I can hear now. Yeah.
Mitch, you can't see us?
Yeah, I can't see you. I saw you fine the whole meeting so far. And then a few minutes ago, I'm looking at myself. Horrible.
Maybe.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so you were still presenting or were you closing up?
Yeah, I was just stating that, the requirements for development have been supplied to the developer, and from a technical standpoint, that's where we're at. There's several units. I think there was 15 at the time that are looking to come online, and that's into a pipe that is over capacity at this time. There's also the sewer capacity study quote that is in this document as well. So that's really all I have. At the end of the day, it's our rules and regs require anything over 0.70 OD to be upgraded to bring anybody on.
Okay. And at this point, Mr. Thompson can ask questions.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Super. Did you, you said that you provided us information that things we would need to do to move this forward already? Did you just say that, or did I misunderstand you?
I was just speaking to the timeline of events that I was able to research that when the majority of the engagement transpired, former manager Jeff Tice had provided the development review process document with you.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, we were actually given a quote for what it would be. And if I had walked in on that day and said, here's my check for whatever the amount was, and paid it, and our plans were already being reviewed, subject to, I mean, the plans getting approved, you would have issued a permit. That's a fair statement, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't give somebody a quote and say, this is what you owe. And this was prior to any study or anything else. We were presented with a legitimate quote from the district, which, by the way, I thought was ridiculously high, but now at today's prices, it would have been a bargain. Who knew? Anyway, you gave us that information. I mean, like I said, if we'd have walked in and paid, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. But I recognize the situation we're in, and I'm not looking to. There's no point in crying over spilled milk. I'm just trying to find a solution. So I guess my first question is, I've asked for an exception. Let me caveat that by saying that we've already decided in an effort to make this thing just somewhat palatable for everybody. We've reduced we're going to reduce the building size from 15 units down to 5. It'll no longer be a 3-story building. It's going to be a 1-story building. We're just trying to salvage this thing on some level. So we're taking a very, very significant hit here by changing this from 15 to 5 units. But we want to get this thing done. We're sick of paying taxes on an empty lot and not being able to finish this thing. It's an eyesore. It's not fair to my neighbors. we're just trying to get this thing resolved. So we thought, based on us dropping it down to 5 units, these are 5 studio apartments. Can we get an exception and get this thing done and move on? And that's it. That's my big question.
Well, and that's what we're here to determine. So this is the part where we're just trying to weigh the evidence on the merits of doing that. So sounds like you have asked the questions that would be relevant to you of the district manager. Either way, did you have any other materials to present to us as by way of evidence?
No, not at this point. I mean, I agree with most of the presentation Josh made. I agree with most of it. There's a few things in there that are missing, but if we're going to fight, then I need to present evidence. I'm appealing to you as a fellow taxpayer. I'm in this area. I'm just trying to get past a difficult situation. I'm not trying to blame anybody or cast aspersions. I just want to find a solution that resolves the problem that everybody can live with. And I feel like, from my point of view, dropping this down to 5 units is a significant gesture to get to that point. I'm not even asking you to meet me halfway. I'm asking you to meet me a third of the way. Anyway,
Thanks.
that's it.
Okay. So then the next stage would be we can ask questions and then we deliberate.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have it written down better so I don't have to question you, but I want to make sure that's what we have, right? Does any of can we do both?
Yes, you may
Do
ask
both at the
questions
same
of
time.
either party.
Okay. Does anybody have questions for either Mr. Stanley or Mr. Thompson?
I do. Just in rough numbers, what would it cost to bring the system up to capacity to accommodate this development, either 5 units or 15? And what would be the charge to Mr. Thompson and his company?
That's a great question.
Yeah, just in rough, see what we're dealing with here. Fives of thousands, tens of thousands.
It would be. Well, can you pull up the, do you know how long this 7-Eleven minutes? I can't recall, I believe the initial. It'd be a few $100,000 and.
Can I ask a question first? Because I feel like that. Can I ask the question first? I am unclear about what we're even discussing. What kind of variance are we asking for here? The original steps to all of this, as you outlined, was a study to see what the capacity is like. And so from that study, we do the cost estimates, which is what you are doing. So I don't know if we can give ballpark, but not great answers because we haven't done the first flow study.
Sure.
So I don't know that we have gotten to any of that point. Because okay, so my question is, it's my understanding that some of this, what you presented, Mr. Stanley, was that we didn't proceed along this because there was a dispute about even that first fee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so but the variance that I am reading, it was a request to lift the moratorium on building. So are we still disputing are we asking for those fees to be lifted? Or are we just asking to be able to pay those fees and start this process as was outlined? Mr. Thompson, can you explain to me what you are asking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. First of all, let me back up to your earlier question. We received a quote from the district, and again, I'm going to give you round numbers, but it was approximately $326,000 to us that we would pay as a fee. And this is based on 15 units, by the way. There was an additional $111,000 approximately for our contribution to upgrading this line. And at that point in time, they had an estimate of approximately $944,000 for the entire upgrade. I imagine it's more money now. So anyway, if that helps on your earlier question, what I'm asking for now is a release of the moratorium as it relates to our project, with the understanding that we're going to cut this down from 15 units to 5 units. So the drain on the system is significantly less, two-thirds less. So yes, I'm asking for that. As far as the fee schedules, I'm at your mercy. I mean, we just treat us fairly. I mean, we know there's going to be a fee, but the last fee quote I got was $500,000. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So to answer your question, yes, I'm looking for a lift of the moratorium and allow us to proceed with a 5-unit project instead of a 15-unit project. And that's it. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I see Director Rickman's hand up, but I interrupted Director Window. Do you have any other questions?
I do. What is the potential for additional future taps on this section, in addition to Mr. Thompson's project? In other words, how many do we anticipate in the future waiting in the wings to do this on that line? And what I'm getting at, is there a way to possibly spread the cost somehow into the future?
Yeah, there's a 12 single family home unit or a project that would tie into this line, and I believe there's an empty plot of land that has interest, but nobody has proposed any sort of development that would go on it. So it could be a.
Is it conceivable, because this is out of my realm completely, but is it conceivable to somehow allocate these costs between all these potential users so that we can bring this line up to capacity?
Yeah, I've reached out to all the other parties that were interested, but I've received no response. So there are, I think,
Yet they want to build 12 units, not Mr. Thompson, but
Right.
the other.
Right. And they're fully aware of what's going on as well.
So they're not going to receive a permit either,
No,
but they don't want to respond.
they didn't respond to the potential of of several developers getting together to talk about cost sharing. There was no response to that.
What is your thought on cost sharing? Have you seen this happen before, where you kind of approach developers that are coming into the future to help share the cost on something like this?
No, I agree, no. You know, it's a lot of water and sewer providers are putting, the cost on the developers to make any improvements necessary to accommodate their projects.
I didn't quite catch that. You're saying that right now the pipe can't handle it. If we brought it up to specs, how big a pipe are we talking about? And for how long along our
We have not discussed any of that with the engineers.
That's all right.
That would require some modeling to be done in order to determine what the size.
Because we have another.
And I'm sorry, Director.
Go ahead.
Director
Yeah,
Director Rickman was on standby
go
here.
ahead.
Well, I'm gonna start off with trying to bring my memory up to speed. When this came up a couple of years ago, what I recall was our rules required him to do a study that we would then use. He didn't want to pay for the study, so that was the end of it. Now, that's my understanding there. Now, recently, we had another owner come in with one property, and we were sitting there saying, you're on a line, but the line's full. Can we give one more? And I took the position, well, one more is not so bad. We can do one more. So when I'm looking at this issue, my first question is going back to my memory of he needed to do all these studies first, and he didn't want to do that. Where is that issue resolved one way or the other?
That the study issue is not resolved, this was never performed, so.
Okay, well, again, I'm still confused. What I recall from 2 years ago was in order to proceed, he had to supply the study. He had to pay for the study.
Yeah.
And then we would act upon the results of that study. He didn't want to pay for the study, therefore we didn't have a study, we couldn't act upon it, so dead in the water is the way I remember it from a couple of years ago.
Can I speak, please? May I? I'm sorry, I've got my hand raised here and I'm not getting to say anything. It's a lot to address. Let me address what you're talking about currently. Yes, there was a point in time in the past when we were asked to pay $6,000 for a study. We didn't want to pay it, but we were willing to pay it. But then we were told by the engineer who did your master plan, I guess he'd been with you guys for 3 decades, that's a waste of time. We don't need it. And so then we questioned that because going back to originally where we were, this was not an issue. It wasn't an issue until it became an issue. If we'd have paid our fees initially, what you asked us to, this line would already be in and we wouldn't be involved in this problem in any way, shape, or form. And that's nobody's fault. It's just the way it went. As far as the study is moot at this point, I don't know why. That seems to be some heartache for some people about this. It's moot. You told us in many times that the new study you did, that I guess finished up in August or something, it's addressed as the lines is at capacity, or it's actually at 70%, which I guess you guys call capacity, which makes sense. Anyway, so I don't know that the payment is relevant at this point. If it offended anybody, I apologize. I'm not a wealthy developer like people seem to think. I'm just trying to make a project here work without bankrupting me. Anyway, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
So what I'm hearing is that issue from a couple of years ago is no longer relevant. Forget about it. Okay, so
That is my understanding.
So taking it to the current, the last time we had somebody a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago coming in, it was a question of the line is full. Can we take one more? And I know I took the attitude that, well, in a sense of fairness, we can add one more. I was willing to go that far. And in a comparable situation here, he's talking about he's coming in as one more. Then I'd be willing to accept that. Now I guess we're not talking about one more. I guess we're talking about 5 more. Well, 5 is better than 15. So between what we're looking at before, 5 is in the realm of possibilities from my perspective. There's been some question about some various fees. I'm assuming part of that fee thing was the 6,000 for study and all that sort of stuff. And evidently that's gone by the wayside. We're not talking about the 6,000, whatever study fees. That's off the table, right?
I mean, we know the line is over capacity at this time, so.
Okay. Well, we had that before. So if it's simply a matter of being slightly over in an act of generosity, can do one more, something I would consider. Now, but to clarify, when he talks about fees, we would still be doing the same tap fees.
Correct.
Okay, so we're not talking about lowering tap fees or anything like that. So as far as making an accommodation, as I understand it, right now, we're sitting there saying 15 is over our limit and we can't be over our limit. So what I'm being asked to vote for is, can we go 5 units over? And as a compromise, something we can kind of both live with. Is that the way I'm visualizing the issue?
That is what I'm hearing from Mr. Thompson, yes.
And yes, that's it. I agree. That is absolutely the case. You are correct. Look, I know that there are fees going to be paid on this. We reduce it to one of the big savings by, which makes us even slightly palatable, because your current fee structure at 15 units makes this project it's too challenging for me anyway. At 5 units, we don't need an inch and a half water service. We can go with a smaller service. So, and the per unit fee is obviously less because now only 5 units. So the fee for us will be less, but also the product is smaller. So anyway, but yes, we know that we would expect to pay the fees at the current rate, whatever they are. Unless you're inclined to give us a break, we would be happy to take that.
I'm not into giving breaks, but anyway, if the idea is reducing this down to a more manageable level, 5 instead of 15, reduces costs for them, less demand on us, a little less of an exception. That might be I might be able to go that way. 15, no. Other breaks, no. I don't want to subsidize. But if he's coming in.
That's fair. I don't either, actually. I feel the same way, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. If any developer was coming in, well, like an example we had when that homeowner came in, there were one customer and they needed one line. Well, this one's 5 instead of 1. But anyway, we're kind of in the neighborhood. And I might be inclined to say, okay, I can live with 5 more.
I have a question.
I'm sorry. Can we still keep rotating
Okay.
before, see if
Yeah,
Dr. Martinez has anything?
I think
You were done? Okay. It sounded like a close. Dr. Martinez, any questions?
Oh, yeah, so he's just asking for 5 additional units. What do you think the delta is in terms of the impact to the line?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but I don't think it's gonna use the line from the last one, the straw that fixed the camel's back, but from my position, I'm just laying out, what the district's procedures are, so.
If my memory serves me correctly, I remember I asked the same question. It's alluded to the previous person where we gave the exception to your answer is -1. So this is 5. So we're not talking negligible. Is it a slight impact, significant impact in your mind?
I mean, and at the end of the day, it's not continuous use, I would say, but,
May I say something? It is my 5 units probably use less than 1.25 average households. Because these are studio apartments. If your last one you granted was for a single family house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, the amount of people living in there probably exceeds what's going to live in my 5 units or could exceed. So when you look at it as 5 units, yes, it is 5 units. It's still one tap into the line. So it's not like 5 taps. I don't think I think the size of the tap and the size of the discharge is probably what's appropriate to if you need a comparison. Did I make that?
What will he be paying the tap fee?
well, it's really gonna depend on what the building design is. For an example that I'll give is, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and now if it was 5 units, they would all have their own individual service line. Because they would be individual owners, and it doesn't sound like there would be an HOA on the property, so each unit would be in charge of their own service connection, so it would be 5 EQRs instead of 15, which really those frequency to be, so.
Okay, so you're
Five single family size connections.
okay. Right. You're looking at 5 fees.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's seeing this. Does he see 5 fees?
Well, we haven't seen any sort of a plan on this new 5-unit building.
Mr. Thompson, maybe you, the question was, are you seeing 5 fees?
I'm sorry, you broke up there and I didn't catch the whole thing. What was the question again, please?
Are you seeing 5 individual tap fees then? Is that your understanding that you're willing?
No, it's one tap fee. We're going to make one tap into it, but the way your fees break down, unless you've changed something, there's an initial, like there's a cost X amount of dollars for the, a 4-inch tap. Then it's going to be per each unit in an apartment building. I think it was something like $16,000 or something on top of that for each unit. And I don't have the fee schedule in front of me, but it's one tap into the system, one building, not individually metered or anything like that.
Well, I don't have a, that's what you think.
That's for 15 units. When you get down into what you're proposing, that those would be individual service connections. The money's would work out about the same or less than if it was one.
Oh, well, if it works out less, then I'm all for it.
It sounds like we don't really even know what we're being asked to approve or not, because we don't have any engineering, we don't have any numbers.
Well,
we don't
all right.
have any of this. I don't know.
Yes, you don't have engineering or anything. I don't want to spend $20,000 in a redesign and then you guys say no. So what I'm asking for is for you to lift the moratorium, allow me to tap into the system for a 5-unit studio apartment. The site plan is the same, which you guys have. The floor plan is the same, which I also believe you have as part of that package. Nothing's going to change except for the size, the amount of the size of the tap and the amount of discharge in the waistline, and that's it. So if you say to me tonight, yes, we will agree to lift the moratorium for that specific item, then my next move would be to put this into redesign, and at the same time, once I have planned, we would submit them, and we'll pay whatever the fee schedule. Josh and I'm sure can work that out, and that's it. We're done. And I think that's not a sweetheart deal by any means for anybody, including me, but it's a fair compromise. And at this point, I'm really trying to just be reasonable and fair. I know this is going to be expensive for us. I know we're going to take a hit, and we've accepted that. But we don't want to be the only one. We feel like we've been pretty decent about this whole thing. We didn't file a lawsuit. We didn't come after you guys, and we don't want to, and we're not going to, period. What we want is just an amicable resolution to a problem, and that's it. And you all seem like really reasonable people. We're not asking for the world here. I mean, we're the ones who got the short end of the straw on this deal. Again, through no fault of anybody in this room. But in any case, that's where I'm at. If there's any more questions.
Yeah.
Are we deliberating now, or is it just questions?
Still questions.
We are going to deliberate.
Did you have any questions?
No. I know, I've been studying this for a while. I have some statements. I'm real hesitant on.
Before you get to statements, then let me just make sure we can do just follow-up questions and be done with questions, and then we can move on to deliberation. Is there anybody who wants to ask questions of anybody else?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
To deal on that, Josh. If this was a brand new apartment coming in, it's only 5 units, but anyway, let's say it was a 5-unit apartment building coming in. Without memorizing what our fee structure is, for multifamily units, they're less than single family units. If this was a 5-unit apartment, what would we be looking at for tap fees?
I don't know, because we don't know if it's going to be like an apartment style where it's a commercial property, because that's how an apartment complex would be built at. All those calculations come together via fixture counts and the number of units. So it's at a minimum, So. I mean, I can't answer that. It's gonna change. It would definitely not be a 3/4 inch service. And it probably wouldn't be a 1 inch service either, so it would be probably like an inch and a half.
Well, I guess
Actually, I think I think it will be a 1 inch service because of the size. We've already had that. I did a quick, just ran it by my engineer and of course we'll provide documentation when it's appropriate, but 1 inch line is what we're looking at. For 15 units, we were going to be inch and a half, just to give you a comparison. When we were at 15 units, we were at inch and a half. Now we're going to be at 5 units, we're going to be at 1 inch because 3/4 just doesn't quite get it.
I'm trying to visualize our schedule and I'm remembering single family units were like a certain fee. Then we went into multifamily and multifamily.
Multifamily per unit pays 1 EQR.
Well, there we go. That's my answer. We should be 1 EQR per unit. So 5 of them. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the amount? I didn't catch that.
Each, in a multifamily scenario, each unit, so each livable space is 1 EQR, which is the same as 1 single family.
Okay, fair enough. That seems okay. I'm okay with that. Anyway, I don't think at this stage we're in any disagreement on. We know there's going to be a fee. We don't know the exact amount. It's going to be obviously based on a smaller line and so on and so forth. So we'll agree to. I mean, you have a schedule and it's a public document. I mean, whatever the fees are, that's what they are. And yes, I think they're high, but we're going to pay them. What we're looking for is the moratorium release so we can turn this in. And again, 5 units and that's it. Same exact floor plan. Nothing's really changed, just the size. And that's where I'm at.
Okay, other questions?
Yes,
And we'll try and wrap up questions here.
this is a little bit of a tangent. In dirt, do we normally increase capacity when we anticipate growth in an area, when we replace any of this infrastructure? We don't. Okay. That kills my.
Well, I mean, unless it was, I guess there could be a scenario where we're replacing a line on the street and somebody's trying to do a development there.
Where does this section fall in?
They would have to kind of like line up stars with their line for something like that, but normally it's, if no capacity issues on the line we're replacing are identified, it's like for like.
And where is this section at in dirt? A couple of years off, do we?
This section line was replaced in 1991. It's PVC pipe, so
It's going to be there for a while.
from a view of pipe life, would not be subject to replacement based on life expectancy for quite a while.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, I appreciate everyone's time for questions. Gave us a lot of information. Looks like we can move on to a deliberation phase and we can talk amongst ourselves. I think Director Hardinger had thoughts that we delayed until now. Would you like to start us off?
You're going to have to, somewhere along the line, get bigger pipes in the roads in where because there's another project going on across the street on Alameda at that one property. And that one is they already have plans for making big pipes.
Correct, but that's on a different part of the system. It's not directly relating to Mr. Thompson's project.
Not directly relating to it, but if we're at maximum capacity for that area is where it empties into at maximum capacity. So The pipe comes down to Alameda and Alameda takes it down to past the Federal Center. Is that a capacity?
No.
Okay. Yeah, to tee off your question, are you anticipating pipe size to anticipate future growth? That was a good question. I was kind of curious about that.
Anybody have, any thoughts to share before we talk about, do we need to talk amongst ourselves? Do we have anything else to?
I have a couple thoughts, of course. I would really like to make this project work for Mr. Thompson, but it's no secret we made a huge mistake on Coors Drive. It's gonna haunt us forever. And this will just be adding to it. This will be mistake number 2. And as much as I'd like to make it work for him, we are going to lose in the secular long run.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Nothing to share.
Oh, I do, but I'm giving everybody else a chance.
I'm looking to you.
Okay. The way I'm visualizing this is if it was an apartment complex that wants to suddenly appear on the street, we would sit there and say, how many units do you have? They would, and each unit would be one EQR. And so if they had 20 units, 200 units, you could have 200 units, 200 tap fees. Well, this is a small apartment, only got 5. So he's got 5 EQRs. So I'm seeing that he needs to pay 5 tap fees. Now, the other question was this bit about the moratorium. Yes, we know the line is full and we don't want to be adding more. But this is where the discretion comes in. Can you add one more without being the straw that broke the camel's back? Obviously, the Coors was fine, one more. I'm at the point where 5 more I could live with. 6, 25, 200, hell no. But I could go with 5. And so if the compromise is we give him 5 EQRs, 5 tap fees, that's not a bridge too far. I could go that far.
Okay. Thoughts, Director Martinez?
No, kind of on the fence on it. I mean, I think he's come to the table with his best offer and would allow us to seriously consider it. Like I said, the issue would be what will be the impact to the line 5. I don't think 1 is going to impact any line at 70% capacity, which is our maximum level line. But 5 it's something I have to weigh and come to mind. Now, he did bring up a good point. These are studio apartments, I'm assuming, no more than probably 1 bathroom and 1 small kitchenette type of environment. So we're not talking, multiple bathrooms and multiple people living in it using a lot of water. So it's really on the downside of it that we really have the issue. That's what the pipe is at. We have the problem. So, given house sizes and stuff like that, 5 may not EQRs, and this may not really equate to full size family housing type usage in my mind. So I'm kind of like that's me on the fence on. I don't want to get to a point to where we are impacting capacity to where we end up, shooting ourselves in the foot down the road on here. That's why I asked what you felt the delta was on this. And I remember when we did just the 1 house, it was negligible, is what you said, if I remember correctly. So I would really like to get a better handle in my mind as to what would be that delta if we knew, given what he's indicated initially, but these are studio apartments.
Yeah, and
That's my mind set.
very good. Okay.
I think that's a good point about the change in capacity, this delta. But the problem is the change is going to be much larger than 5 or 12, whatever number of units you're referencing. Because there are a bunch of developers waiting in line already that want the same thing. And it's
Just a little bit.
The problem is cores, and now this one, Alkire, and all the ones in the future are gonna cost our current ratepayers more. That's the problem. Eventually, those lines are gonna have to be sized, and it's gonna cost our ratepayers. Now,
Now,
we got off to a wrong start on cores. We're going in the wrong direction on this.
I don't think we got off the wrong start. Of course.
I'd like to address that if I may.
We'll have one issue with that.
I'm gonna try and stick to the deliberation part, so we're gonna. Sorry, Mr. Thompson, we're gonna keep this here and try not to be continuing asking questions. But cores is an outside to this piece anyway. I think we've gone around the table. We done with comments here. I'd like to add, just for the record, for myself, that I guess I still remain unclear on what we're being asked for exactly, not for exactly the same reason, for a couple of reasons. I don't know that in my opinion, I don't think we ever said, no, you can never build. We said you can never build unless you pay all of these fees, some of which included upsizing the pipe. I don't think that what you're asking, I don't know that anybody knows what the fee is. You say you're willing to pay whatever is appropriate. I don't feel comfortable on that basis of we'll grant you that you can do what you like and trust that we will have an agreement on fees later. I think it would be appropriate for myself, I would say no today, but I think that there is some room to still be working if you have redesigns or get a more concrete plan and go through the process. If it did get stuck the first time on that first study, and Mr. Stanley is saying that you don't need to do that now, then we just proceed along to the next part. And I think there is still room to do that and see if that meets all the criteria and how much it would cost for the tap fees of whatever you're asking for, whatever. And you said, if that's fine, but there's also the upsize piece, and the district would need to calculate all of that. So I don't want to grant a variance for something that we don't know at this point. I do think that there's room to still work on this with you later. So
Well, how about this?
that's where I'm sorry again. That's what I mean.
Could we
There is
table
room-
it for 30 days and take this up at the next meeting? And I think I can address your concerns by then.
How about you work on it, and if we can bring it back up, we can bring it back up. But for today, I'd like to settle this this hearing will be contained. So the decision will be made now. So again, still room to do, but it's time for us to vote on it. If that is I think everybody's on the record down with what not. So haven't missed any steps. Ms. Wood,
No.
Okay.
You made it.
we can proceed to a vote then.
Yep.
On whether or not to, is there a motion to grant a variance? That's Mr. Thompson's request. So we can proceed. Okay, I'm not seeing anything.
We need a motion either way.
You need a motion either way?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to deny the request?
Can we do a motion to table?
No.
But I like the way you just tried to change the rules in that.
So either a motion to approve or motion to deny.
Yes.
Okay, then I make a motion to deny.
I'll second it.
Director Wickman makes motion to deny, Director Martinez makes seconds it. And we've had discussions, I'm just going to ask for a vote, all those in favor of denying the variance. And that is a unanimous decision. So I'm afraid the variance is denied for now, but again, I think we have room for further discussions, and that does not mean that we cannot do this again.
I'm sorry, did you say you cannot do this again, or?
We can do this again, yes. Please
All
work with
right,
Mr.
so
Stanley. if you
what
have
I
any
asked
further
to,
questions.
what I asked, and again, you know, I feel like there's a little hostility, not just directed at me, but a little in the room. I think that's not productive. I appreciate you know, you guys are all, it's late and everybody's tired, but I don't think it's appropriate just to say no. And you're putting me in a position where you're leaving me absolutely no options. So I asked, why don't you table it for 30 days? We come back at the next meeting. Ms. Morgan, you had a concern easily addressed. Any agreement
Mr.
we make can
Thompson,
certainly,
I
any agreement,
appreciate
I'm
your
sorry,
thoughts,
do I
but
get
are
an
here,
opportunity to speak
no, you do
now?
not, you do not.
Okay. Well,
We
then I
have
guess
stopped
we're done.
deliberations. The hearing is
If I'm
over.
not going to be allowed to speak, then I don't see any point in me hanging out here anymore.
Thank you. And you have the opportunity to speak, you have options, and they were discussed. So we will continue. That is it for tonight. Hope that we can find better resolution in future. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for your decisions and thoughts on this.
I will reduce the decision to writing in accordance with policy and issue that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan.
Next, I have review and vote for the,
Need to ask
to approve a lobbyist contract. Everybody had a chance to approve. We've discussed this several times. I don't
Right.
think there was anything as a surprise in there. I'm
I
sorry. did you
move,
say something?
I move that we accept it.
Moved by Director Wendell. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Director Wickman. Any discussion on the lobbyist contract? I would like to stipulate, we did ask for numbers and Josh followed up on those to get a PR component. I'm very torn on this. I would like to, ask you, Ms. Stanley, to find some other options. I think they're incredibly high priced. I think the lobbying is high priced, but I also think they are incredibly good.
Yeah.
So, if that's our option, that I don't want to cut corners and not have anybody good, but they are incredibly high priced. So,
And by the way, we're talking about them going to work tomorrow.
yes. Yes. So. But the PR piece doesn't have to be implemented. It sounds like that would be taken up later. Rest, we would be voting. That was how I was understanding.
Yeah, they provided a sort of a proposal to provide a scope of services.
If we would want to go that way.
Yeah.
So we just kind of got a quote. All right, so lobbying contract, that was all discussion, all in favor of approving that. That is a unanimous decision as well. Thank you. We have next proposal by Director Wickman. Would you like the floor?
Not really. As you know, my pet peeve in life is that we rush through things. And we have a procedure in our rules for how meetings are to be run. I think we ought to just follow those rules. But anyway, I said, I don't want to rush it. I'm making the proposal tonight. My government background is you kind of a first reading and a second reading. And you mull it over in between and stuff like that. And that's the way I think important things ought to be done. So therefore, I'm proposing it as a first reading for your consideration. And then we can vote on it in the future, next month or thereafter. So that's really all I have to say for tonight. Just consider it for the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. Well, then we will just,
Unless you want to chat about it, but I'm not calling for a vote today.
yeah, I did get that. Did anybody want to chat about it?
Could you summarize it again? It was just a rearrangement of the agenda.
No, it's actually just using the agenda that's in our rules and regulations.
I will disagree. In my opinion, because this was discussed prior to your time, the last time we did a bylaw rewrite. There is sections in the bylaws for old and new business. We do not, as you see on our agenda, we do not have an old business category. And Director Rickman has made several references to a first reading and second reading. And that, as he is saying, is 1 month delay. And technically, we would have this under a new business. Kick it to an old business and then maybe vote on it. There's delays built into that system. Old business for Green Mountain Water since years before I was on was established to be all of these other sections that basically was anything that could be put on the agenda.
I think that was old business, anything could be put on the agenda.
And anything could be put on the agenda. So old, for example, this would be, this is an old business section, right? It didn't show up first on a new business section. So, and these are all just technicalities. They're all just technicalities of what you call each section. The bigger question, I think, what I'm hearing from Director Rickman is the delay built in. And most times we have those delays built in. I don't feel like most times you acknowledge that there's a delay, because I know several things that I have brought up and I will say in this meeting, let's talk about it next meeting. And then next meeting comes and you act like it has never been brought up before. So this problem of how to grab somebody's attention, it's the same thing as an email versus a phone call. Everybody is going to have something different. And if you watch city council meetings, people will still have the same problem. It was on a first reading, it was on a consent agenda. Nobody paid any attention until the second reading when they discuss it. And then all of a sudden it's grabbing their attention. So all of this discussion, this proposal, in my opinion, is technicalities that changing the definitions of how we do things so that I don't know what purpose is what is your goal? Am I correct in thinking that you think we're just rushing through things, but I don't feel like you listen to a word I say. So I don't know how to bridge that gap by having an old business section on the agenda.
Well, just because I don't agree doesn't necessarily mean I'm not listening to you. But anyway, standard way of doing business, Robert's rules and stuff like that. The whole concept is you bring something up for consideration. You're putting it on the table so everybody can think about it. They take it home, do their lobbying, whatever. Then they come back later prepared to talk about something. Now, you can sit there and say, well, maybe they're not prepared, maybe they are, whatever. But the point is, when you pull something up in a hurry, by definition, it's a rush. Now, sometimes it's not bad, but most times rush is not good. And the general way you do an organization is you deliberate. We are a deliberating body, and it's hard for us to do a good job of deliberating when we're trying to cram it all into one meeting. And there's a reason why governments do a first and second and all that sort of stuff. They do not want to rush it because it's a bad idea. You're supposed to take it home and mull it over. And that's what I'm trying to do. Follow the same approach that the whole world does in all deliberative bodies.
That's a really sweeping statement. That's great. On the whole world except for the Green Mountain for the 20 past years, because that's not how we've been doing it. And again, I don't know if you would agree that sometimes I would bring things up into a meeting and then it comes up. We've never seen it before. I know that happened just last month.
Certainly.
And so that is why this is not something that is just like what I heard again was deliberate delay, make sure we have time, don't rush. That is, I think that's a different concept than following the bylaw sections that is proposed, because we do have those. This is just generally old business, that's new business.
So I appreciate what Dave's saying, and I understand his concern, but I've been on this board as long as Dave has. I have not encountered this problem. It seems like we've had plenty of warning, agendas, and when things are really in question, we've often tabled it or delayed it. So far, it seems it's worked to me.
We'll give you an example. At the very last meeting, we were talking about, these issues and there was a concern about, these delays. And so Josh offered, in the weekend before the meeting, why don't we add another item on the agenda for a day or two from now and to modify our bylaws? And that's not a simple resolution we're for or whatever. Modifying our bylaws is like an amendment to the Constitution. And he was proposing this on the weekend, a couple days before our meeting. And the idea is we would have voted on it on Tuesday and changed our bylaws on the basis of 48 hours of consideration. Anyway, it's happened many, many times that these meetings come up as like, oh, I want to add something to the agenda. And it comes up, at the very beginning, and we add something to the agenda. Well, if we want to talk about something, that's fine. But we add something to the agenda and we vote on it that very same night. And so I haven't had a chance to talk to my constituents and stuff like that before the meetings. And if there's a delay, and if it's somehow uncomfortable, we don't like it, it's the lesser of evils. It's always better to take the time and get it right than to somehow worry about, I'm dragging my feet, and therefore we got to get right on this. It's the haste makes waste. And then the deliberative process means you take your time. And that's why that's the way the world works. It's like, I'm not the first one that came up with old business and news business. It's the way the world works.
How does your vote last month for a non-agenda'd, non-noticed legal committee that you yourself now sit on fit into your scheme of deliberative process?
Well, number one, I don't think I was the one that was proposing it, but in any case, it had been talked about before.
Actually, it had not.
And if we wanted to talk about it, I would not necessarily been pushing for, okay, we have to vote on it tonight. I would have been very happy, willing to say, let's talk about it, good points, let's bring it up to the next meeting.
You didn't in fact second the motion.
Are you trying to suggest?
I'm just saying you rushed it and it benefited you. I don't understand how that fits into you. And the other thing is that the bylaws, I am hearing enshrined in lights. It's bylaws and it's got a halo and it's lit in gold and it's sacred and oh my goodness, we changing the bylaws. How can we do such a thing? And most of the bylaw changes that have come to our attention are tweaks to existing changes, and that's why they come up with, they are a little bit more rushed. It is one single line. It is a single clause. It is something that has been talked about before and we're closing loopholes. So anyway, it doesn't matter. That is where it comes down to. And so I think we both are at the same place we started with. You feel like I'm rushing and I feel like you're not listening, and we will go from there. And I'm going to assume you will agree with that. And is there anything you would like to add to this discussion, or do you want to just?
Yeah, I have felt at times there are things that I'll see, particularly on the agenda, that stuff that we get on a Friday before the Tuesday meeting, and you'll go, okay, here we go. There's this issue that we had to talk about, and it's something new, and I feel a little bit rushed on it, and without enough information to my mind to understand it. So what I think the director's asking for is that, when we hit issues like that, we just don't rush into them. We take the time and say, okay, this is a new item. It maybe was mentioned in the previous meeting, but now we're getting it on the agenda here. And it seems to be a little new to me, and I don't have all the information we need, and just wants to say, let's table it until we have, okay, on the agenda now. We're gonna hold them over till the next meeting and make sure we have all the information in place. And not have a Friday to a Tuesday timeline to come up to speed on it.
Okay. I'm gonna. Was there anything else, Director Herninger, did you want to say anything about this today?
We could consider changing the agenda, of course, I like the idea of being prepared for these details. I looked up a lot of stuff with the Alkire decision that we just made a couple of days ahead, and so I was confident in the way we were voting. I think maybe as each item comes up, we could discuss these things. I was looking back at the bylaws and it isn't very it isn't very helpful to say that we aren't doing it the right way right now. It's also I think we could, as a board, we can always accommodate some of this to postpone making a decision so that you do have, that's what we were discussing before. Maybe we take more time to make decisions. So like you were talking about our doing the table,
We only get basically one day a month to get together to discuss things, and it's, I mean, if we were meeting, once a week, like it was when I was working, you had weekly meetings with the people you work for you and people you work for, and you go week to week and you work things through, but we got a huge gap in there. And then when we get the information that we know we're gonna be talking about in our 1 month a week meeting, we get it on Friday, and then we're going, okay, what I gotta do, and it's like, okay, I got all this other stuff I gotta do, and put this in there, so I'm basically taking, Mondays and Tuesdays and said, that's my time to work on whatever I think is necessary for this deal, because the weekends are shot for me. And so it just gives us the ability to, like, the director said, make sure we get it right. And I don't want to make decisions without having all the information necessary. And case in point, just this deal with this gentleman Thompson who wants his variance deal. There was, I read the thing and I thought, okay, I was not going to necessarily vote for it because I just didn't think, it was appropriate. But once again, you get more information, you find out a little bit more, and you start to say, okay, and puts me on the fence. I got to mull it over my head a little bit, and I got to think about it, So it's just, Dave's just saying, let's just make sure that we get all our ducks in a row before we just rush it through. And I agree with that.
Okay. We can move on to the next one. I think if, I guess while I'm sitting here thinking though about this, then if you really want to be doing, we will not do a discussion on matters like this. And we'll only have one discussion, because that is part of the other first reading, second reading, stuff, you just come in and, so.
But let me clarify, it's not a straight jacket. And so if you need a second, third, fourth, you can table things, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is that you put into the process a time delay. And that time delay hopefully eliminates possibility of a rush job.
Dave, you just shot yourself in the foot, because it's not a straight jacket right now. And now that is, you can table it or ask for a third or discuss later currently. And that's not what so again, we will move that to the next one and move on to the Director Matters, item E. And that was, I believe, Director Wendell, language for extraordinary circumstance compensation.
Okay, I move that we accept my proposal for the language on this staff resolution.
Second.
All right, moved by Director Wendell and seconded by Director Rickman. Any discussions?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is very difficult for me because I like the idea of recognizing employees for extraordinary work under really difficult circumstances, as was the case that we're referencing here. But I have no idea what would be appropriate as far as recognizing them for this extraordinary effort under very difficult conditions, but I believe they need to be recognized. I'm happy to go with this up to 1 day off within 30 days. I like the idea of giving the district manager the authority and the discretion to use this when he sees it's fit or necessary. About the only thing I would add to all this is that, well, I've spoken with Josh about this privately, and he doesn't anticipate this kind of thing happening very often. As such, when it does happen, and he does award or reward these employees, I would like him to bring it to the attention of the board. Hey, you know, we had this emergency last month. 3 guys and a gal had extraordinary performance. I gave them this 1 day benefit, just letting you know. That way we can kind of have a sense of what it might be costing, how often does it occur, and most importantly to me, is it that special of a situation? And I'm not trying to diminish what happened last month. I think that was a very special situation, but again, it's out of my realm of expertise. I've not done that kind of street work. I'm not accustomed to this kind of reward system, but I'd like to give this a shot. And we can revisit it in a year or so if it happens too many times. I know that sounds probably maybe a little mean spirited. It may happen too many times, but again, I don't want to see it become routine. To me, it should be something very special. Thanks for listening.
Very good.
Well, I would rather err on the side of being generous and positive. It usually can't be too positive. I suppose you could, but I prefer to take that chance than the opposite.
So I don't know if there's an amendment to my,
No, that's it.
or the amendment would be adding to it that we would like notification each time this is awarded.
Whatever.
Yeah, I would definitely bring it to the board's attention
Oh,
regardless.
I've done this. And I've done this with people that work for me. Even though it wasn't company policy, I would tell them, you know, just take day off and I could mark it on it. Don't mark it on your ticket. I've done that. Half a dozen times, because the IT business, you gotta work weekends. Sometimes you're working 3 days, from Friday night until Monday morning to get the systems up. People doing 27 by 24, so yeah, this is a good policy, it works for me. It happened, these within the 30 days, that's good. That's good. I like it.
so we're beyond the 30 days, but this will still
Yeah, it gives them,
be awarded.
it's a special thing,
Should it be approved?
and it's up to your discretion. And it should be.
Yes, just for clarification, you wouldn't have to come to the board to request this.
No,
You would just let us know that it
Yeah,
took place.
Absolutely. This is cool.
I gotta. I worked around some HR people,
I'm sorry.
consultants, yeah. I guess, I would like to have an HR consultant of some kind tell us how we're supposed to handle that. Cause,
Oh, I don't think they would have. I don't think there's any regulation or anything. It'd be up to us.
well, I know in the Air Force or in the military, and you give the guy a medal, but the pay is always the same. And sometimes they'll give a day off, and I like that, but I don't know.
But despite my advanced age, I'm still working. And at my employer, they've hired an HR consultant. And my general sense is the HR consultant lets us do whatever we want to do as long as it's legal. They don't have any set. If we said we'd like to give people an extra day off, they would just go with it.
Okay.
But I can also throw in that we technically have two that I not necessarily bounce things off of, but there's HR forums for our paycheck service and for Mountain States or Clerks Council. There's like a posting board when people have questions about whatever HR issue may come up, there's a wealth of information available.
Well, not to diminish what I've already said, but just to add in my career in the government, it's like, well, you gotta be careful. Sometimes it goes too far. And then next thing you know, somebody's taking care of their favorites. They get all the goodies and the rest of the people don't. And the potential is there, but it's an imperfect world. You do the best you can. And the thought is a good, positive one. And I think it's worth a try. Just don't abuse it.
Yeah, no, understood. I mean, I've been knee deep in it before, and I've been there, and I know how it feels to be completely exhausted. It's you know, I'm not going to take it lightly. That's all I'll say.
We appreciate that. Thanks, Josh.
Okay,
Was that a motion needs to be voted on?
yes,
Okay.
it is. I just want to say I'm not taking it lightly either. I will be a no vote on it. But that is because I feel like we did have a discussion about how to do the compensation in once a year in extraordinary circumstances and how to get that written in to annual evaluations. So I'm not saying not to acknowledge the work. I'm just saying not to acknowledge it in this way at this time. So that's where I would be. I do appreciate all the efforts. I think we got everybody though, so all in favor of the proposal. Extraordinary circumstances, that is Director Wickman, Martinez, and Wendell, and against Morgan and Hardinger. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you for your efforts there. And we can move on to.
I'd like just to bring up one point before we move on to the legal, if that would be okay.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to just make a comment, before we move over to legal.
Yeah.
It's on the prior, Director Who's proposal. I had thrown a bunch of information out to the board, a couple of weeks in advance when I sent out the agenda. I'm hoping that's helpful. Please let me know if it's not, like the lobbyist contract and other items, so you're not getting it. Well, you're still getting it on Friday when the board packs put together, but anything of significance that comes out, I'm trying to share.
Yeah, that's appreciated. Dylan also
Dylan does.
keep us posted as well. So.
And I meant to say that when you were doing, technically for the bylaws, we should get everything that we're going to be discussing, voting on 2 weeks ahead of time, and then the board packet. So everything that's the board packet as designed and we wrote into the bylaws, the board packet is just Doug stuff, basically. The minutes and the financials. And everything else like the lobbying contract and anything legal, that's supposed to be separate documents, so he doesn't have to worry about it and you can send it to us at any time.
Maybe I missed it.
If we're discussing that, the PR contract, I would like to know, we are kind of alone, it appears to be, and we're really not, because we have Bear Creek and we got all these other water boards around and they're facing the same PR problems. Is it possible to make contact with some of them and ask them what they've been doing?
Thank you, that is, I probably should have. When we go through that, it is. And I know Josh does, I think what you're asking, and
Yeah.
kind of keeps in touch with things.
Well, we just did with one of the questions I had last 2 weeks, and Well, we had the big wins. Cause I had a constituent that asked, are we ready for the big one? And then it's like, talked to Josh and I talked to that person is served by Bear Creek.
Yeah,
Anyway, I found out a lot of information there, but
okay.
Josh was real helpful with that too. I think we got some PR with that. Because the person was happy
Yeah, what's going on?
that we put more water in our tanks. All that crap. Which California did not do.
If we could move on to our general litigation update.
Yep. So. No major updates, but I'll give you the minor updates. The Ravine case with Lakewood is set for a case management conference on the 16th. So in 3 days, that's going to be to set the deadlines for how that case proceeds, get a trial date, and start the discovery process. So that's very preliminary stages still. It was filed in November and served in early December. Lakewood filed their response. I believe everybody should be getting litigation pleadings from paralegal with my office now, so they won't be coming from me directly. They'll be coming from, her name's Anna, so she'll be emailing same as I have been, and I'll be copied on those if you have any questions. The rezoning case has been filed and is out for service. I imagine it was probably served today. I haven't heard from the process server though to confirm that, but it'll be certainly this week because they have a designated clerk to receive service. So not difficult to serve city like
Which rezoning?
it's the injunctive relief of the comprehensive rezoning update. And the other primarily active litigation case is the Timmons case, the post-trial motion we filed requesting a change to the trial order was mostly denied. There was one small change made to the order. So the deadline to appeal that is the 23rd of January, and we're on track to get that submitted, which will begin the appellate process, which again is approximately a 15-month process. On not exactly litigation related matters, but an update on the Fed Center. I've requested that the General Service Administration release the entirety of the capacity reserved for the Fed Center, not just any portion that was designated for Lakewood Land Partners development. They are, like I've reported before, they have significant staffing issues. So the last communication I had was last week, which was, I'm trying to find the right attorney to give this to. So that's going about as quickly as I would have expected.
Well, I understand there's a whole bunch of attorneys now available in Minnesota. They're suddenly looking for new employment.
Well, if they contact you, tell them the GSA.
Send us some over.
Yeah.
So it's somebody in the general counsel division. I'll follow up with them, but I don't think there's anything I can do to rush that. So, and I've asked for an update on the inclusion process. I have not received that since the December update, which was just everything is still on track, and we should have those orders to you in a few weeks. So
We thought it would be like now, right?
they did, yeah. So a few weeks is now. It's
Big city council voted on that.
on what?
I don't know.
I saw that the
Talk about what.
provision of sewer service by City of Lakewood to the development. I did see that that was approved. I haven't seen anything from Consolidated for water service.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. It was a December meeting. and I watched, it was, anyway,
They did approve the Metro District, I think.
they had approved that before. Right, yes,
Yeah.
so there was a new approval and it came up with, it was the sewer service, but I don't know, it doesn't matter, I guess you're, so what are we still waiting on for that? They included, is that not providing service?
We also need the final approval, the signed agreement with Consolidated for water service.
Okay,
Once we get that, I will be good to file the conditional exclusion resolution.
Okay.
As all the conditions will have been satisfied.
Okay.
And then we'll get a court order in a couple days.
Okay.
And then I'll circulate that to everybody.
So what are the odds of Consolidated wrapping out and blowing this whole thing up?
Oh, very minimal. I don't see. I'm not aware of anything at all that indicates they have any inclination to do that. So based on the information I have, very minimal.
Yeah, it's like, her lipstick out of here is okay.
and how did, were you able to make contact with,
I still have not, no.
Okay.
Suzanne,
yes,
yes, no, it's on my list, but I have not done that yet.
okay. Well, it has been rough with holidays, but is it still your plan to?
And either I am, or I'm gonna ask my associate Tony, who's been working with me on it, if I'm not able to, so. Yes,
I was thinking about that. I know we talked about it last time. And my recall is that that's something that we should do, see if we can get her advice. Is that something that you can work with? Can you contract to her, or do we need another engagement for that?
I could engage her as an expert consultant directly.
I'm not anticipating it would be many hours.
Yeah.
What do I know?
I'd bring it to the board for approval before I entered into any sort of engagement like that.
So something we're talking about.
So this is the Lakewood rezoning lawsuit. Well, I don't know how to describe it. She's a resident with experience in municipal and zoning disputes who is sympathetic to your position today.
Do I know her?
She is a former city attorney with Littleton, and she's a firm lawyer for the referendum group. So she has experience in municipal law and the referendum, so it would be an expert in how the enemy thinks kind of thing.
Is she the one we're supposed to be sending our donations to support our legal fund? Can't remember the name of the people.
For a referendum. That probably that same one.
Which one was that?
I don't know. I see emails and goes in one there and out the other.
I think it made, what's the name of that website?
So,
Next door. It made next door.
well, maybe we can see it on the next, on the next agenda. If you.
Also,
let's
the
see.
news somehow picked up on.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, they, the reporter emailed me for a comment yesterday and said that the report would be running last night, and I said that I wasn't authorized to make any comment.
Why were they asking the question?
I don't remember the news organization, but there are reporters assigned to just monitor all of the cases that get filed. So anytime there's a noteworthy case like Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District versus Lakewood that gets filed, that reporter or somebody on that beat tends to reach out and ask for comments.
Okay.
So we get them a couple times a year.
It's probably not a good time to really talk about it at all.
I didn't see any value in making a statement myself.
Yeah,
Well, let me put that in context. As you know, we've got this referendum campaign going on, an election and stuff like that, that they're anticipating going to a vote at the end of March, beginning of April. How does that activity have any bearing or effect or influence on the lawsuits that you're involved with?
Well, I suppose if the referendum is successful, completely successful, most of this lawsuit's going to be mostly irrelevant, but not completely.
Okay.
Although I don't know the contents of the referenda.
Well, there are four of them, and they basically say, eliminate this ordinance, eliminate this one, you know, four bad things and get rid of them.
Yeah, so that would mostly moot this lawsuit. You'd still have their failure to agree to or participate in mediation. That would still be a live controversy, I think.
Or the comprehensive plan, it's all based on a comprehensive plan, the zoning is in the lawsuit is, right? So the comprehensive plans don't include these elements that are not
Yes.
being implemented in the zone. So. Which will still stand no matter what the referendum does. Anything else?
Not for legal presentation, but just going back to the financials, I did have a question that I meant to bring up earlier. There was a Sympathy Flowers Director Little.
Yes.
Oh, so what happened?
You haven't died.
Randy died.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, don't take it personally. I think he was sickly.
Well,
Yeah.
so the flowers weren't for him, they were.
No, first family.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. And I Googled it, but I didn't see that, so.
Okay.
By the way, thank you, Thomas, for doing that. That was, she appreciated that.
All right, we don't have any executive sessions tonight, so we're going on to new business. Does anybody else have new business?
Well, just to clarify, new business would be my proposal to modify the agenda procedures. New business for next meeting.
Okay, Vale? Okay, well then I will go through my usual litany that I do, just clarify every month of things that I will be bringing up again in future. One, since we just talked about it, this I think would be the appropriate time next month just to put on your radar, Director Wendell. The referendum did pass. At one point you wanted to do a statement of support, which we could do. Just by resolution, we support the group.
The only thing is and I'm all for this, they seem hesitant for any kind of publicity or having their
They
names.
really do.
Yeah.
They,
So how would you go about this?
I do believe there is a new group name.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yes, that they themselves will not name, but there's a new group name. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
So
I
if
can
you,
give them a call or.
if you are, still wanting to do that, I think next
Sure.
month would be a good time for that.
So just a resolution showing support for their efforts and
Yes.
getting the signatures and getting it on the ballot.
A resolution of support, assuming it's on the ballot. It's an assumption, it's not a given, but assuming it's on the ballot, our resolution would be, we urge the voters to vote for the ballot issue.
Originally, I thought the idea was just to thank them for their efforts in doing the petition drive. But maybe I misunderstood.
I think, yes, per our prior conversations, Dylan, we cannot say we'll vote this way.
You can adopt a resolution in support of a ballot issue. Yes.
Could we make it a resolution in support of the ballot issue and a show of appreciation for the work they put into it?
Can you work with, just run it by them?
All right, it will be in conflict with that. When will we know it's gonna be on the ballot?
January 26th.
So we'll, this might have to go well into, we do it by our February,
We do
Yeah.
that in February.
we could do that.
Well, anyway, I was gonna say, as far as thanking them for doing good work. I mean, it's not bad, but doesn't really do anything. But on the other hand, if we're urging people to vote for it, that could have an impact. So just want to clarify.
No, a good point. And there were a couple of them were out for King Supers. And I chatted with them. They appreciated our support, but like to maintain anonymity. I don't know why.
Well, there's another reason why,
You know,
Okay,
retaliate you then.
second thing. I said last month that we should talk about getting a more formal hearing process laid out. That I think would be more fair. So what I'm gonna do. I have been thinking about this. I don't know if anybody else has been thinking about this per my suggestion. I'm gonna write up two main points that I would like you all to think and talk about. I have now gone to two hearings from the city of Lakewood on the referendum and seen how they handle their hearings, which are much more formal and structured than us. And I think it would be helpful to, they hired an outside hearing officer to run it. I think I should have mentioned that. I think that would be helpful. And for example, one of the reasons why I asked in the beginning, what are you even asking for? These guys on the referendum hearing asked, like you had to file a paper for a complaint. We filed for a hearing and we said and so he sent us an email saying lift the moratorium, but that's why I have no idea what you're asking for. And I might not have caught it if I wasn't watching things like that, but the details of an official hearing officer, I think would be valuable to go through all of that paperwork, especially if there's a lawyer. I think, on the other side, he didn't have anything. I also think that the second suggestion to make it fair is that if this one was just very casual, nobody had a lawyer and we just kind of were winging it on both sides, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other case where the guy had a lawyer and he was doing things, and in the eventuality that there was, I can't remember now in that first one, if he was citing case law. Anybody remember?
I don't think he did.
Didn't the same guy, Kip?
No, I'm talking about in our hearing for the what's the course house.
And I didn't really make any legal arguments.
It's very emotional.
It was very tear jerking. But
That works.
if there is a legal argument, all these guys had legal arguments about everything that I'm not gonna know. I don't expect Josh to be making legal arguments. So I would like to make sure that there is a pro and a con. So I'm gonna ask if that is something that you or somebody from your firm would feel comfortable in making sure that there is somebody, it's like debate class. You don't have to agree, but they will argue for, I want somebody to argue against. And then be able to ask a presentation or whatnot, just to get it in. So we can either hire somebody or have somebody outside or somebody else.
So are you? I heard two things there. Are you suggesting a hearing officer like a neutral facilitator
And one neutral facilitator.
and an advocate position?
Yeah, and an advocate position against getting a variance.
Yeah.
Because they will have, and that's, it's not necessary unless we know that
So
there
this
is
is
one.
two people?
It's two people.
And are you asking if I or someone from my firm would be comfortable doing one of
Yes.
those positions?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking, I was only thinking about you and the attorney, but I guess you could do the hearing officer. I don't care. What do you think? What do you think about all of it? Am I out there?
I couldn't do both, obviously.
You couldn't do both.
But I could do either. Yes.
Okay.
I have been the hearing officer.
Okay.
I have run hearings for
Okay.
boards, and I have been the advocate.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, great. Thank you. That's all I want to know for now. I'm going to say that's where my thoughts have taken me. I'm gonna write that up and I'm gonna run it by you and see if I got it all. And we'll get it on the agenda for next time. Okay. And you already said that we.
Cause I have a lot of questions, but I'll wait till next month.
Yeah, because so that you can see the details. But you can, I mean, call or ask Dylan what he thinks would be best and it can get it incorporated.
Got my number. Yeah. On speed dial.
The lobbying contract, I forgot to bring up another thing besides the PR, what we're gonna need is a new email list. And we need to do this every year, and that is somebody to go through the special district map and go get names and the addresses to build up the email list again. And I know we have to do this every year, nobody wants to do it, but can I ask you to get that done?
Yeah, I think I might be able to actually contact from the SDA.
The SDA will not want to share that with us.
Yes.
And they don't, not everybody is members either. So that is also the SDA has a lot of lawyer contacts.
Yep.
Rather than board member contacts. So that is what I have done is go to the SDA map and you've seen the district maps and then Google the district and find a contact. And I'm gonna say 60% of them have no other contact information on boards, and you're lucky if you get a district manager and you'll still default to a lawyer because they do not put anything out there. But I mean,
And just special districts?
just water and sand districts for stuff that support us.
So we're paying for SDA
We pay SDA dues now.
for their privilege.
But that email list would be, thank you, that would be a big help. Did now I can't remember exactly what it is, but there is another bill that's already on the governor's list that will affect us regarding densification. Anybody else see it? Have you seen it? It's it doesn't matter. It will.
Wait, on the governor's list?
The governor, yeah, not on his desk, out of his desk, on his newsletter, one of his agenda items is to. It was increasing home occupancy or ADUs. I'd have to look at it again, but what I know is there's another fight like this that on the densification that will be affecting us. And it may just be better now that we know a little bit more to be able to roll up some of our arguments and be able to say statewide, look, we're doing this in Lakewood, but if we were smarter, we could have notified the other districts and had a couple of them do something, what, a similar referendum at the state level or a suit like the cities are doing to block that. That would probably be the more appropriate way. But anyway, there's something to be watching and acting on immediately.
When these things come up by government, like the word densification, usually that's not pushed by any real science. It's usually a purely political situation. I'm not sure what, but I can go into that later. My point is, there is also quite a bit of research right now coming out that whole idea of densification as practiced by the city of Lakewood and the state of Colorado is detrimental to economy, to lower income people. It's detrimental, makes their lower incomes lower, and it's weird. these things are coming out now, and this is from one of the major world universities in London, that, the guy that said he used to be an advocate for that densification concept, he's an economist. And anyway, there is evidence that it isn't good, and we're getting more support for why it is not good.
The Polis agenda is to be able to split the lots to sell the ADUs. To make it easier for home ownership, but that will be more attractive to other people, ADU wise, so. It could affect us, just to let you know. Okay, my last question is, I got another question from a resident. And I should have asked you that previously. Is there,
Yay. I'm leaving this chair. My God, I broke it.
the chairs are old,
Send me a bill.
they are old.
You hit your chairs in, right?
Yeah. We need stronger chairs.
Well, there's 8 new chairs coming in for the new board.
Yeah,
Make sure they can handle weight.
well, that's too bad.
What can you tell me what to tell people, or is there a good process for when people say there is a smell in my water, or I'm seeing things in my water? I've asked this a couple times over the years. This was a big one with a couple neighbors being hit at the same time. The responses that I have got is that it's in your house, so there's nothing we can do. That's kind of too bad. But am I hearing it right?
No, it depends on if it's a water quality issue, we send somebody out. And they try to identify what the resident is experiencing, and if it's, sometimes it can be like taste odor. We pull a sample, take a reading of the chlorine residual, which is what's most important for understanding if there is an issue with the water.
Okay.
And if we have to get Denver Water involved for additional symptoms, we do. A lot of the times we would get customers calling in like they smell something like might have to do with their sewer. We try to walk them through what they can do to identify what that potential problem could be. And sometimes it turns out to be like dried up trap in the door drain or something of that nature. So we always send somebody out.
Okay, well, I remember that, and I said, call when you have it again, it was gone, so wasn't an emergency. All right, that is all I have. Thank you all for your time. If nobody else had anything, we can adjourn at 9:04.
Sorry, recording still going?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, with the new furniture that is coming in.
Yeah.
It takes them several, I think it's about 2 months for it to come in, but they do require. 50% down, which is pretty typical for them to order the materials. And I was gonna ask the board if it was be okay for myself and Becky's a signer as well to sign that check. And have that on the financials for the next month. So that we can get the process started.
Okay, because you're saying we don't know the amount, so it wasn't approved this time?
It was 47,000 is what the quote was, so they want 50% down.
Yeah.
In order to order materials that they've often not installed, so. Typically, the board signs the checks every month. But what I'm asking for is to be able to sign the check to get the ball rolling.
Would it help if 2 of us came in and just signed the check?
That too.
When do you think the check will be ready to be signed?
I'm gonna say next week.
Because I won't be here then. Otherwise, I'd be happy to come in and just sign it.
Yeah. Well, we're myself and Becky are both signers and we're able to sign, but how it's been handled is the board has been signing off on them, so in this single circumstance, I'm asking to be able to just sign off on the check. To get the furniture.
I haven't researched recently what the signing rules are, so I'm gonna say yes. But I'm gonna look into it, and since you just brought it up, I don't know why we're signing checks anyway once a month, just because we're just approved them, but maybe I would have to research unless Dylan knows.
I mean,
anything
it's
else
just
to
the check and balance that the auditors wanted to see. But
see the signatures.
Yeah, the timing of signing isn't really addressed in the bylaws, just who's authorized to do it.
Yeah,
So.
I guess that-
I don't think there's any. There's nothing that says you can, there's nothing that says you can't. So.
I guess I was under the impression you could, that you had the authority to do all that, so that's what I mean, I don't know that there's any problem, but I would have to double check on that.
Okay.
Just because it's not routine, but I've got no problem with it. Anybody else have a problem with it?
I was gonna say, what there, isn't there like a dollar amount, anything above, anything below, got authority? I
Yeah,
don't know if we do that, if so, I don't remember what the number is.
Yeah, I don't think there's a discretionary amount here. There often is.
yeah, there
it's
is.
gonna be like.
Yeah, I think you've totally got that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? I think so.
Dave just proved
You
to
don't
be the chair. Oh.
Yeah, I move we buy new chairs.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just.
Sorry about that, Dave, this is.
And I just realized he's gonna have to spend more money because
I mean,
these gotta be good chairs.
like,
Could have had a lawsuit.
for example, we never
Wow.
voted on any.
You covered by workers' comp. Yeah. It'd be a covered event.
Suing, because I know you guys can deep pockets.
Well, that's one of the performance, or